Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. Hope you're all doing absolutely excellent. I can say I'm not, and it's not even because of the news today. I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize if I'm a bit low energy today. But nonetheless, we're talking about a significant report here from a boy, Jez Corden. He's broken the news that Xbox is shifting their priorities internally when it comes to handhelds. This is a bit disappointing on the headline, but I think as you read and you get the context, it's the right choice. It's just the timing of it all. When you know Steam Deck has really taken over and continues to take over with Steam OS, and you think of a Steam Deck 2, and you think of PlayStation working on their own handheld, and the Switch 2 is on the horizon, Xbox really has time against them here and needed to be snappy, I feel, with their handheld to deliver in a time where everyone doesn't already have their chosen handheld in their households. So knowing that the plans are being sidelined, as we'll talk about, I think is a significant blow to their potential ability to just get into people's homes and actually sell the hardware. I've also noticed, I think a lot of people have really misread this news as sort of part of Xbox pulling out of the hardware race. And while that's always possible given the trajectory that they're on now as a games publisher, all of this information Jez provides doesn't suggest that to me. So we're going to pick it apart and discuss it. Happy Friday though. Glad to have you all here. Hope you're doing wonderful once more. Okay, the article opens up. Exclusive. Xbox's first-party handheld has been sidelined for now as Microsoft doubles down on Kenan and Windows 11 PC gaming optimization. The article starts saying, I come to you today with some fresh news about Xbox's handheld plans. Previously, I reported that Microsoft was working on a native Xbox handheld alongside an Xbox Series X successor, planned to launch around 2027. It now seems that Microsoft's priorities have shifted somewhat. It continues on saying, just to emphasize here, it's not Xbox's Asus device Kenan that is being pushed back. It's Microsoft's own internal Xbox handheld that has been shelved for now. I have a variety of code names for this unseen device, but it's unclear as of writing which is exactly the correct one. At the moment, it seems that there are 3 prototype devices in development for Microsoft's Gen 10 effort, with the handheld being parked for now. Indeed, Microsoft still wants to build its own Xbox handheld in the future, but Microsoft has decided to prioritize its teams to improve the Windows 11 gaming performance, specifically for devices like the Asus partner device Project Kenan. It's possible that the existential threat from Steam OS, which on paper delivers better gaming performance than Windows 11 itself, has informed these decisions. Our sources have indicated to us that Microsoft is still deeply investing in developing its own Xbox gaming handheld technology in the future, but it was announced internally today that the priorities are moving deeply towards third-party OEM handhelds in the interim. So let's just pause there because I got a lot of thoughts on what they recognize that made them want to stop here. Okay, so Steam OS, right? What people have been doing is they've been putting on like the Legion Go or the ROG Ally, the first one. And they've been putting Steam OS on there and people are getting better performance, better battery life out of it. Like significant improvements have been shown through this OS. So people are jumping ship. They're like, whoa, this is a game changer. Like for me, one of the main reasons I don't use my ROG Ally compared to my Steam Deck is because of the battery life. It's also because of using Windows on a handheld. It doesn't feel great. As Jez will mention here in a moment, this also informs us on sort of how Xbox is structuring their next generation UI. We were wondering, is it going to be more like a console experience, like bringing the Xbox experience everywhere, or is it going to be a Windows experience that is going to go to consoles and then go everywhere? And it seems like it's that latter point. I'll have more thoughts on that in a moment, but the thing that really frustrates me here is that Xbox has had a mountain of criticism about Windows performance, and about their gaming experience involving Windows. Like these have all been 3 major pain points for this company, not recently. As someone who's covered Xbox for the last 5 years, crazy to say, this has been since like day one of me stepping into that realm. This has been 5 years of criticism. Windows is a problem. Windows is a problem. Gaming on the Xbox app sucks. You need to figure it out. As Xbox started to go everywhere, those critiques amped up again. Like, okay, if you're gonna go everywhere, you need to figure out how to make PC more viable. Because for me, taking Steam OS out of everything and the handheld side of things, I just go to Steam for my PC gaming. I never touch the Xbox app, almost ever. Like maybe I can count on one hand each year the amount of times I use it compared to Steam. So Xbox needs to do something more competitive here, but this isn't news. That's the problem I have here. I think, as we'll get into later, the pivot is correct. Windows is getting dunked on by SteamOS. It's looking spooky out there. And if Windows is the core of your future for gaming, it needs to be shaped up beautifully here. It needs to be competitive. And in fact, it should be trying to do better than what SteamOS is doing. So I read it as like, this isn't a bad choice. This is the right choice. It's just, why did it take you so long to realize these sorts of things needed to change when your audience has been telling you for so long that these problems were relevant? And that's just from like user interface, user experience, but also just now we're seeing performance tests being done. It's a damn shame, because this is the problem that they're going to run into. Is they're making, I think, the correct pivot, but it's going to affect long-term as it affected them with the Xbox One and PS4 situation, except now it's going to be the handheld PC situation. In fairness, that's not as big as the consoles yet, at least, but what's happening is people are gradually, as there've been so many, choosing their handheld PC, their preferred one, or getting streaming devices. Like maybe you got the Logitech G Cloud. I love that thing. Maybe you got the PS Portal. I also love that thing. And PlayStation continued to update it and added like just native streaming support to it. So you don't even need to have your PS5 on to use it. Maybe you picked up the ROG Ally. Maybe you picked up the Legion Go. Maybe you picked up the Steam Deck. Maybe you picked up the Steam Deck OLED. Like, you hear that? There's so many options there. Then you know the Switch 2 is out next week. There's another option, which has some sort of PC-like capability with the mouse feature, which is no gimmick as someone who's tested it. It's awesome. Then, on top of that, PlayStation is the one I think you got to fear most, because PlayStation fans, myself included, I mean, look at the t-shirt, baby. Look, man, like, the hunger for a true PlayStation handheld is real. I don't think we'll ever go back to the PSP or Vita days where they're making games exclusively for it. I think as technology has progressed, we're going to get PS5 games that play on that handheld. But to me, that's just as great. That PlayStation handheld experience is so nostalgic, so sentimental to many of us. It was such a key part of me growing up. And when I was traveling all over for my brother's baseball tournaments, I always had my PSP on me. And into my college days, I always had my Vita on me. Like, that is big for me. So I think PlayStation just has that brand dominance, and Xbox should have been careful, because as PlayStation's ramping up the development of their own device, and then you have Xbox, who's now going to fall behind everyone else. Going back to my original example of the Xbox One, what happened? Everyone started to build those libraries in the early 2010s with the PS4 and the Xbox One, and that made it hard for people to pivot over to a console like the Xbox One, even when it was offering at times, although by the end of the generation, not so much, great exclusives. So as people are settling into these devices, the same shit's about to happen. Xbox might put out a really competitive handheld for their next generation system. It might be a really great Series S alternative if we're thinking in that sort of set of SKUs. It might exactly be that. And that's exciting to me, because I've been begging for an Xbox handheld forever. Like, way before I even started doing coverage of this, I'm like, why doesn't Xbox do a handheld? This feels like such a good fit. So I'm glad they're not abandoning it yet, but it's such a shame, because I feel like the timing of it all is avoidable. Because if it is being shelved, hopefully it still hits that 2027 release. Like it's rumored that's when next gen's going to start to hit for Xbox. But I just, again, look at it and worry a bit, because I'm like, well, this is where it becomes a slippery slope for them. So hopefully they'll learn a lot from their study project with Asus. They, if you don't remember, partnered with them pretty heavily for the launch of the first ROG Ally by getting Game Pass integrated in there and kind of giving it that Xbox feel. Anyway, I've popped off enough. Let's keep reading here. Project Kenan is the code name of Microsoft's partner Xbox handheld with Asus. We understand that Kenan is still targeting a launch for later this year. The hardware side is essentially finished. Tentatively, we believe this device to be among the first using the AMD Z2 Extreme, but we are still working on solid confirmation for that. There is a significantly boosted effort between Xbox and Windows teams to improve the experience on the software side. Devices like the Asus ROG Ally and Lenovo Legion Go already run on regular Windows 11, and the Xbox layers and apps have gotten better, but there's still improvements that could be made. Yeah, I'm wondering if this is going to be something we see at the Xbox Showcase. We did our Showcase predictions episode for Defining Duke recently, and I'll do a full video dedicated to that next week, so keep an eye out for that. But I'm wondering if the handheld is something that does show up on the stage. I feel like one thing Xbox needs to do, as I'll get into in that video more so, is be a little more public on a grand stage like a Showcase about Xbox being everywhere. And there's a way to do it without mentioning names like PlayStation or Nintendo and just only using their logos at the end of trailers. That's one way you do it. But I think the other way you do it is like, here's a third-party device. Here's how we're evolving the experience with Xbox fans everywhere, not just on console, but PC and into phones maybe. So maybe the ROG Ally 2 or whatever it ends up being called. We did see leaked images of it. And yeah, the Xbox fan base reacted, I think, pretty fairly to that one. And that, I mean, in fairness, I never thought the ROG Ally looked good at all. But, it definitely had a beautiful screen. And I feel like it's going to be the same case here with the ROG Ally 2. As long as it performs well and it definitely doesn't die in like an hour, I'll be all over a ROG Ally 2. But we'll see. But nonetheless, I wonder if this is something we do see on the stage for Xbox. Let's continue on here. It was always a bit unclear if Microsoft's handheld was designed to be a native Windows 11 PC gaming style handheld or more of a native Xbox console style experience, but we potentially have the answer now. It seems that this was indeed meant to be a device that could run full Xbox games, but Microsoft has decided to prioritize its teams on the partner opportunity around devices like Kenan, at least for now. I've been told that Microsoft still has big ambitions and is investing heavily to deliver a native Xbox handheld, but the shift is about prioritizing and allocating resources right now. There have been no layoffs or anything like that as a result of this reprioritization. This is the other thing I wanted to get into here, is that it seems pretty clear the future of Xbox is going to be Windows. Like when you buy your next gen console, I think it's going to run off of Windows. Here's the pro of that and why I think it's, again, good that Xbox is, even if it's very late in the race, looking into making Windows better for gaming, is this would be good for development. If you're making a game for PC, you're also making it for Xbox. One thing Xbox had a lot of trouble with, and we saw it even leading into this generation, was getting developers, particularly like Japanese and Chinese developers, onto their platform. It usually required what seemed like backroom deals or port support, that sort of thing, to get these games onto their devices. What happens now is if you're making a PC version for a game, that is already very close to an Xbox SKU. And as Phil has talked about in the past, and this is another really good point about the Series S, the reason the Series S has a great use on the market is when you optimize for that, you're pretty close to a lot of handheld PCs. So Xbox is making it where as long as you're making a game for PC, you can support everything that they do, which is a lot of where the industry is going. You've seen the numbers growing on PC gaming. Steam numbers have been absolutely booming. So again, to me, and I don't know if this is what people want to hear or not, I didn't read too deeply into everyone's reactions, but to me, this is all the right move. I just think it comes down to the timing of it all. The article wraps up from Jez saying Microsoft is also working on next-gen Xbox cloud systems, which are now in testing at Microsoft's HQ in Redmond. The new cloud platform should bring its latency closer to parity with NVIDIA's GeForce Now service, which is arguably the performance leader right now and still integrates Microsoft's Xbox/PC Game Pass. NVIDIA GeForce Now just launched a native app for Steam Deck as well, presenting another competitor to Microsoft's cloud gaming strategy. Microsoft was previously working on a cloud-first mini console dubbed Hobart, which was also canceled. So yeah, they're not abandoning hardware is the read here. Obviously, I have thoughts on next-gen cloud systems. This was, I think, just pretty expected of Xbox, given where they've been headed. I'm curious with the amount of SKUs that they're planning between the handheld, a cloud version, this traditional console that seems to be a one-size-fits-all, how they're going to price all of this. I imagine the cloud version should be the cheapest. But as someone who uses Xbox Cloud a lot, like for example, this is a great story. When I went to the Joe concert earlier this month, with my wife, I had my Backbone with me that plugged into my phone, and we had like hours to kill because we were waiting online for the concert. And I just literally popped my phone into it, and I was like, I'm going to really hardcore test Xbox Cloud Gaming in Brooklyn, just out in the middle of, we were outside, I think Brooklyn Steel is what it was called. I'm just like, let's go ahead and just test this, see how it goes. And I fired up Towerborn, which is like a looter game, an action game, and it was working great. And I played for like an hour and a half, just chilling there. And I was like, this is really responsive. There's a couple of bits of lag here or there, but it was the first time I did cloud gaming outside of my house, just on like 5G. And I was like, damn, okay. So Xbox's cloud gaming, I am a big supporter of. It does change a little bit of the way I play, or even as like an old head. I definitely like that I can play games in bed. Like I can just finish playing in here and then just go upstairs and play a little bit of whatever I was playing on my Xbox in bed. That sort of play anywhere thing has been clicking with me a lot. So I'm glad to see they're investing in that. But again, it's all going to come down to pricing, and this is an industry all about zeitgeist. It's going to come down to timing. So we'll see how things time out for Xbox. Ultimately, I read this as the correct choice, just really late to the party. So we'll see, but no doubt I think SteamOS is going to take over in the meanwhile, and Xbox is going to have a similar uphill battle on PC that they already have on the console side. And so we'll see how competitive they get here with Windows. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you here today. Let me know your thoughts down below. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all.